Hi! Within this lecture, we're going to have our first hacking experience in the system pen testing section. So we have run a map against our target, against our metasploitable machine, and we have the results in here. And we're going to use those results to come up with a strategy. Okay? As you can see, we have this first port opening here, which is 21 FTP, and it says that anonymous FTP login allowed. So there is clearly something wrong in here, and there is clearly a way to exploit this, and we will try it. So best way to deal with this kind of situation is that research this thing and find out a solution. Since we believe there is actually a vulnerability in this case, we have to find a way to exploit it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy all of this information and try to find some exploit regarding to those information in exploit databases. So basically there are a lot of vulnerabilities in here, and hackers actually write some exploit codes in order to leverage these weaknesses and gather some access to ourselves. And we cannot know how to write exploits at this moment, since this is not a programming course, but we can find them online. So there are a lot of vulnerabilities and there are a lot of exploits that are ready for us to use already. And they are stored in something called exploit databases. We can surely use those exploit databases and find our related exploit to leverage it and gain access. And we have a tool called Metasploit in Kali Linux, and this is most popular ethical hacking tool of all time. So this is a penetration system testing tool, and you can reach it within Kali Linux by opening a terminal and running MSF console. Okay? And as you might guess, Metasploitable and Metasploit belong to the same company, so we can easily find some exploits in Rapid7 database and use those exploits in MSF console easily, freely. Okay, so this is MSF console, and this is the Metasploit framework itself. As you can see, there are like more than 1000 exploits at this moment, and this is updated daily, so maybe you can see something like 2000, 3000, 4000 when you open it. Okay, and I'm going to try and search for this version for our 21 open port and try to find some exploits in Rapid7 database and try to use those exploits within MSF console. So let me search for this version and exploit. So let me maximize this window here, okay, so we can see it better. And as you can see, the first result is actually the rapid7.com. So we have other results as well, like exploitdb.com. But I'm going to go with Rapid7 in order to be consistent, since I'm going to use MSF console anyway. And this is an exploit database looks like. Okay, so it generally explains the exploit, explains the vulnerability in here. It says that there is a malicious backdoor hidden inside of this version, and this is later on removed on 2011, and if somebody doesn't change or doesn't update its tools, as you can see, it can be dangerous. And other than that, other than the general information, we have a module name in here. By using this module name, you can actually reach this exploit inside of MSF console. So you can easily exploit vulnerabilities with Metasploit by using these modules. And how do you do that? Let me show you. If you open MSF console, if you open the Metasploit framework, you can say use and then the module name. So let me paste this module name that we have copied, and all you have to do is just hit enter. Once you hit enter, it enters inside of that particular exploit. As you can see, this is now VSFTPD backdoor module. So we are now in the module itself. We can change the settings of this module and we can try to exploit the vulnerability with this module at this moment. So if you say show options and hit enter, it will show you the settings of that particular module. As you can see, there are two settings only. We have the R host and we have the R port. And as you might remember, the port was 21, so the R port is actually true. And of course, we have to specify the host as well. And host in this case is the IP address of our victim. And R stands for remote. Okay, if you see L host, for example, it stands for localhost, and it generally means that your own IP. But in here, we are going to set our host to be 10.02.5 and hit enter, which is our metasploitable machine. If I say show options one more time, then it will show me that our host is set to 10.02.5 and our port was already 21, so we are good to go. So there were only two options to complete, and now we have completed those options, and we can just run this exploit. We can just try to connect to the victim machine by running run or exploit in here. So I will say exploit and hit enter, and it will try to connect to that host 10.02.5 with the codes, with the exploit codes that are built in the metasploit, and try to hack in that computer. And as you can see, we have a session open. It means that we now hacked into the metasploitable machine. Now we have a running session in here, and we can run some commands on metasploitable from Kali Linux. So let me run pwd. As you can see, I think we are in the root. So if I say ls, then I will see the available folders in here. So let me run id to see the id. As you can see, this is root account and we are in. If I say uname, it will give me Linux, and we can try to browse those folders as well, right? So let me try to go to home, for instance, and it will take me home. If I say ls, I will see ftp msf admin service and user. Now let me try to go to msf admin, and if I say ls, we have this vulnerable folder in here. Let me try to go into that as well. So vulnerable, and try to run ls. As you can see, we now see the MySQL, SSL, TikiWiki, and other stuff. I believe we have seen this when we try to browse in metasploitable machine when we first install it. So we now actually hacked into this machine, and we can browse inside of folders as well. And in fact, we can do more than just browsing. And we're going to focus on that in the post-hacking section. Right now, we are just only focusing on hacking process only. So let's stop here, and within the next lecture, we're going to see another ports, another vulnerabilities to exploit.